Predictions are fun. They're a great way to look into the future and get excited about the amazing advancements in technology. But as you may have noticed, we don't have any flying cars. That's because many of those lofty predictions about the future proved to be wrong. I mean, just ask Nostradamus. Seeing the future is tough. And that brings us to this 1985 issue of Enter, the short-lived computer and technology magazine from the Children's Television Workshop. In their final issue, they flew into the future by asking a bunch of experts what it would be like to live in the year 2010. Let's go ahead and see how accurately they predicted the future. Welcome to the 21st century. Like Rip Van Winkle, you've fallen asleep for many years and you're about to wake up in the next century. You'll be visiting the high-tech home of the family of the future, Sharon and Sam and their kids Zilla and Boz. To find out what life might be like 25 years from now, Enter talked with some of the top future experts. We then turned their ideas into this story about the average day in the year 2010. Alright, right off the bat, I think we need to give them a little bit more time to play around with. They only went 10 years into the 21st century, which really isn't very long. I say, let's add another 15 years and make it 2025. To make it easy on everybody, let's just compare the predictions to present day. Sound good? It's morning. A whispering voice says, "Time to get up." There's no one else in the room. That voice comes from a speaker in the bed. It's a voice-synthesized alarm that gets louder until Sharon opens her eyes and sits up. I think they basically nailed this prediction, right? No, we don't have speakers built into our bed. That's one of those details they didn't get right. But today's cell phones and alarm clocks allow you to wake up from everything from music to random noises to a voice saying time to get up. I think this one's spot on. Outside her window is a favorite view, the Rocky Mountains. But Sharon is tired of the mountains, so she hits a button. The scene on the window changes to a view of the Earth from outer space. It's beautiful, but there's no time for window gazing now. Sharon turns on her favorite music, Michael Jackson's oldies from the 1980s, and gets ready for the day. Now here's something that we see in a lot of science fiction movies and TV shows, especially the ones where people are stuck in a spaceship or something. I get why people would predict replacing windows with a giant screen with a view of the Grand Canyon or the beach or whatever, but it's all just so impractical. I don't know, maybe people will want this in the future, but it's not the norm in 2025, I can tell you that much. On the other hand, if you were to turn to the oldies station right now, your chances are actually pretty good of hearing a Michael Jackson song. I mean, despite his many controversies, Michael Jackson remains a mainstay, and you're probably going to hear a lot more of his music later this year when that biopic comes out. I don't know, it may be an obvious prediction, but at least I got that one right. The house where Sharon and her family live is totally computer controlled. Even before Sharon got her wake-up call, the house's control computer was adjusting room temperature, using infrared sensors to guard against intruders, and even baking fresh rolls for breakfast. When Sharon got up, the central computer activated her personal robot, which rolls into the room carrying a glass of juice. Okay. For some reason, the futurists they consulted for this story seem to think that we're gonna have just robots rolling around and bringing us food and drinks. Mind you, this was the same year that Rocky IV introduced a very similar robot. So maybe there was just something in the zeitgeist about how robots are gonna be our next big innovation or something. I don't know. Clearly, they weren't. I mean, sure, there are companies working right now on robots that'll mix drinks or go to war. But for an average family in 2025, yeah, that's still science fiction. Where the magazines got things right was when they predicted the central computer adjusting the room's temperature and using the latest technology to surveil the house. Both of these things are commonplace these days. Sadly, the computer hasn't exactly figured out how to bake fresh rolls for breakfast, but we're going to come back to that in a moment. On the bedroom's computer screen, Sharon checks out the day's appointments. Then she asks the robot to pick up her clothes from the house storage system. Meanwhile, she uses the computer terminal to contact her husband, who's out jogging. Sam uses his wristwatch communicator to talk with Sharon. "Good morning," she says. "I didn't even hear you go out." Alright, ignoring the whole robot fetching your clothes thing, I think most of what they predicted here is true. When most people wake up, the first thing they do is grab a cell phone or a tablet or even a laptop, which is often right there next to the bed. Calling a loved one through a computer is also pretty common, especially if we're accepting smartphones as computers. And Sam is out jogging with what sounds like a smartwatch, which has been pretty common for a good decade or more. All of this tracks. "I'm on my way back now," answers Sam, huffing and puffing. Sharon uses the intercom to tell her kids Zilla and Boz that they should end their morning study and come to breakfast. "I just scored 85 on my math quiz, Mom," says Zilla. "I'm smarter than the computer." Okay, let's talk about the names Zilla and Boz for a second. I don't know if Sharon and Sam are just bad at naming children or they're big fans of Godzilla and the former football fraud Brian Bosworth, but clearly these two names didn't catch on. Speaking of the kids, let's learn more about them. When breakfast, which was of course prepared by the kitchen computer, is done, the kids rush off to 3 hours of school. They aren't getting off easy. These 3 hours of classroom work are in addition to the hours spent doing computer-run home studies. Now, I'm just going to gloss over the whole computer makes your breakfast thing for now, because the kids rushing off to 3 hours of school is what I like to call science fiction. On average, kids in the US spend between 6.5 to 7 hours at school each day. This suggests that they spend a few hours studying at school and then a bunch more at home with computer studies. I get that we've always had homework, but that's not what they're talking about here. Sharon and Sam punch in the family dinner menu. The kitchen computer will order the day's groceries from the supermarket computer and get started cooking that night's meal. Sharon and Sam head off to their separate offices right upstairs. Sharon and Sam are telecommuters. They send most of their work to their central offices by computer. Occasionally, they may go to a meeting center to get together with coworkers, but most of the time, they work right at home. I mean, they nailed so much of this prediction. Maybe not so much in 2010, but in a post-2020 world, all of this adds up perfectly. No, your computer isn't going to prepare your dinner for you. But there are definitely apps that'll order your groceries when they get low, and they'll even come straight to your door. That said, you still have to put them away. We don't have a robot for that. I also can't help but notice that they nailed the whole working from home dynamic. We don't call them telecommuters because that's stupid, but there are plenty of people that work from home. Hell, I work from home. This prediction was spot on. As Sharon and Sam work away, the house's central computer conserves energy by turning off lights and lowering the heat in unoccupied parts of the house. At 11 a.m., Sharon attends a teleconference meeting. A wall-sized video screen makes it seem like her coworkers are right in the room with her. If she has to send any documents, she simply presses the transmit button on her computer. I love the visual of Sharon entering a special room in her house with a wall-sized screen full of her coworkers. This isn't all that far from the truth, since I think we're all pretty much familiar with Zoom meetings and similar get-togethers. What's funny is that that's usually done on cell phones or laptops, not a massive wall in your house. Everything is going smaller and smaller. Nobody wants to see their boss's face plastered on the wall. That's crazy. When Zilla and Boz return from school, they can zoom around the backyard on their jet scooters or play inside with room-sized 3D video games that seem almost too real. But just when the game is getting good, the computer interrupts. Now it's time to begin reviewing this morning's geography lesson. Boz, what's the capital of Brazil? Yeah, sounds like that computer's a real neg. What's the capital of Brazil? How about you screw off, Hal? We apparently have jet scooters to play with. And room-sized 3D video games for some reason? Look, my TV is really big, but I wouldn't describe it as room-sized. It sort of sounds like they were trying to predict the holodeck, but I have a hunch that they'd still be really impressed if they saw the 3D games that people are playing in 2025. In a few hours, the family sits down to their computer-cooked dinner. We're having Italian food tonight, guesses Zilla, as the video wall shows views of Rome and plays Italian music. I recognize the Colosseum from my geography class. Yeah, this is how we know this article was written by a bunch of parents. The futurists predict a time when computers will not only cook your dinner for you, but they'll also teach young Zilla about geography. And as we all know, every kid's favorite dinner is the one that comes with a lesson. In reality, Zilla just wants to play Fortnite and browse TikTok. Also, not to nitpick or anything, but for a family that supposedly has a computer conserving energy throughout the house, they sure do have a lot of video walls. After dinner, the family retires to the media room while the kitchen cleans itself up. In the media room, they watch a video tour of Mexico and read a book together from one of the room's computer screens. When Sharon, Sam, Zilla, and Boz have gone to bed, the house computer adjusts the temperature, shuts off the lights, and makes sure the doors are locked. Oh fun, more education after dinner. Look, honestly, they got nothing wrong here. I don't exactly call it a media room, but it is a room that has a big TV, game systems, and a lot more, so it does apply. And I mean, I could watch a video about Mexico if I really wanted to. I could also read a book on Kindle, or really any mobile device. I don't think that this is how most families are spending their evenings in 2025, but it is a sweet image and probably exists somewhere. The family of the future may rest, but in the year 2010, the computer never sleeps. And that's true, the computer never sleeps. Even if you turn off your laptop or your desktop, your cell phone or PlayStation is probably running in the background. Or even your temperature gauge or the home security system. And if we pull back and look beyond that one house, we see a world that is wired and always online. So much depends on computers, more than we could even comprehend. What I do know is that these so-called future experts ended up getting a lot of things right, even if some of the details were a little bit off. Their biggest mistakes mostly involved robots and computers being able to cook and clean and do all the household chores that you don't want to do. Unfortunately, we still have to do the laundry and mop the floor. Really, the closest thing we have to a cleaning robot is Roomba, but I don't think that's what the futurists imagined. Outside of that, they accurately predicted smartwatches, working from home, Zoom calls, and energy-efficient thermostats. That's not bad, but I'm still waiting for my jet scooter. We were promised jet scooters, damn it! Hey, thanks for watching whatever this was. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we have a lot of shows looking back at classic magazines just like Inner. Now, here's the question I have for you. What futuristic prediction do you want to see come true? Look, it doesn't have to be from this article, but really any future prediction, like flying cars or teleporters or the holodeck. Let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we're going to be back tomorrow with a review of 9 Years of Shadows. And then on Friday, we're going to have a brand new episode of Review Crew. While you wait for that, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,